So, you're a fresher, you've just landed your first job offer, congratulations. But then you see it in the contract, the employment bond. It's confusing, it's a little intimidating, and honestly, it can be pretty nerve-wracking. Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on these bonds. We'll break down all that jargon and give you the tools you need to protect yourself so you can sign that offer letter with confidence, not fear. And this is exactly why we're talking about this. You're so excited about the new job, you skim through the paperwork, see a bunch of legal stuff, and you just sign. It's a classic mistake, and that one signature can cause so much stress down the road. We're here to make sure that doesn't happen to you.
So, let's get into it. What is actually hiding in the fine print? When you sign that bond, what are you really agreeing to? And more importantly, what happens if things don't work out?
Okay, let's put this in simple terms. An employment bond is basically a deal. The company says, hey, we'll hire you and train you, and in return you say, great, I'll promise to stick around for a certain amount of time, maybe a year or two. If you decide to leave before that time is up, the contract says you have to pay them back for their investment in you. Sounds fair on the surface, right? But as always, the devil is in the details. Now, before we call them the bad guys, it's super important to understand why companies even do this. It's not always about trapping you. There's a business reason behind it, and knowing that helps you understand the whole picture.
Look, from the company's point of view, hiring someone new costs a lot of money and time. They pour resources into training you, and that bond is like their insurance policy. It's a way to make sure they get a return on their investment and keep good people from leaving right away. But for you, the employee, it can feel like you're stuck. It can limit your freedom to jump on a better opportunity. And of course, it hangs this huge financial risk over your head.
Okay, so while companies have their reasons, some definitely use these bonds as traps. Let's walk through the 5 biggest red flags you absolutely need to watch out for. These are the ones that catch freshers by surprise all the time. First on the list, how long is the bond? Look, a 1-year bond, maybe even 2 years if they're giving you some really amazing specialized training, can be understandable. But when you start seeing bonds for 3, 4, or even 5 years, whoa, that's a huge red flag. Your career can change so much in that time. Being locked into one company for that long can literally stop you from taking a dream job that comes along in year 2. And then you see a number like this. It's big, it's scary, and it's designed to make you think twice about ever leaving. So here's the thing about that big, scary number. It's not supposed to be pulled out of thin air. It should reflect what the company actually spent on your training. If they're just showing you the ropes internally, a massive penalty is probably just a scare tactic. It's a number designed to make you too afraid to even think about resigning.
Now this one is really sneaky. Your contract might just say your role is software developer with no other details. What does that mean? Well, it could mean they can stick you in a department you have zero interest in, doing work you hate, and you can't do anything about it because you're locked in by the bond. You have to push for a crystal clear job description before you sign anything.
You also have to realize the bond itself isn't the only trap. You've got to read the fine print for other hidden clauses. You might find a non-compete that says you can't work for any competitor for a year after you leave. Or they might put you on an internship for 6 months and your 2-year bond only starts after that. These little loopholes are designed to work against you.
Okay, let me be 100% clear on this one. It is illegal for a company in India to hold on to your original documents. They can ask to see them, to verify them, sure, but they have to give them right back. If a company says they need to keep your original degree certificate or your mark sheets, that is a giant flashing red light. It's a pressure tactic, pure and simple.
All right, we've seen the traps. Now for the best part. Let's separate the myths that companies tell you from what the law actually says. This is where you get your power back.
This is probably the first thing you'll hear. The HR manager slides the contract over, says this is just our standard policy, and you feel like you have to sign it or you'll lose the job. You feel powerless, right? But is that really the case? Here's the reality. Mandatory just means it's their policy. It's not a law. Any contract, and that includes an employment bond, needs you to agree to it willingly. You can always try to negotiate. Ask for a shorter bond period. Ask for a lower penalty. The worst they can do is say no, but you absolutely have the right to ask. And here it is, the big one. The fear that if you leave even 1 day early, you're suddenly going to owe the company lakhs of rupees. No ifs, ands, or buts. This is the #1 reason people stay miserable in jobs they can't stand. But here's the legal secret that most freshers don't know. In India, A contract isn't about punishing you. It's about making up for a loss. A company can't just point to a number in a contract and say, pay up. So listen closely. The responsibility is on the company to prove they actually lost that much money because you left. They have to show the receipts, the invoices for specialized training they paid for. Just giving you a tour of the office and showing you their internal software, that usually doesn't count. Without proof, that big penalty amount is often legally unenforceable.
And the final scare tactic. The threat that there's some secret industry blacklist, and if you leave early, they'll put your name on it and you'll never get hired again. Sounds terrifying, doesn't it?
The truth? This is almost always an empty threat. Yes, you'll probably burn your bridge with that one specific company, but this idea of a formal industry-wide blacklist, it's not a real legal thing. It's just something people say to scare you into staying put. Don't fall for it.
Okay, so now that we know the traps and we've busted the myths, let's get down to business. What should you actually do before you sign that contract? Here is your simple, step-by-step checklist.
First, read every single word, don't skim. Second, ask HR for a breakdown of that penalty amount. Can you show me what this covers? Third, try to negotiate. Ask for a shorter term or a lower amount. Fourth, get everything in writing, every email, every conversation. And fifth, if you're still not sure about something, it is always worth it to spend a little money and talk to a lawyer.
All right, before we finish up, I want to leave you with one last warning. This is the one thing that people often figure out way too late, when it's already caused a huge problem.
The biggest mistake you can make is just focusing on that bond amount and the time period. Because, as we've seen, there are other clauses hidden in that contract that can be just as bad, if not worse. One of the sneakiest is the non-compete clause. This is a clause that can legally stop you from working for a competitor even after your bond is over and you've left the company. And that is exactly what we're going to break down in our next explainer. Thanks for tuning in.